Ever jump into the water, all geared up for a dive and think, what's the worst that could happen?
Besides the shark stuff, right?
Right, besides the obvious. But seriously, today's deep dive is all about a silent danger that every diver needs to understand: lung overexpansion. We're going deep into the science of your lungs and how things can get a little explosive underwater.
Yeah, explosive is a good word for it. We're diving into an excerpt from 2.6 LUNGS.PDF today.
And let me tell you, this document doesn't hold back. It's packed with crucial info that every diver should know. Think of it this way: your lungs are like balloons underwater.
Balloons and pressure, not always the best combination.
Exactly. So let's start with the basics. The source does a great job explaining how air gets from your regulator to your bloodstream.
It's actually pretty amazing when you think about it. We take breathing for granted up here on land, but down there.
It's a whole different story underwater. But first, the journey. Air goes in through the trachea, our airway, kind of like a tree trunk maybe?
I like that analogy.
Mhm.
The trachea branches off into bronchi. Those are like the branches of the tree. And then even smaller tubes called bronchioles. Those are the twigs.
And at the very end, we reach the leaves, so to speak. Millions of tiny air sacs called alveoli. That's where the oxygen actually enters your bloodstream. Crazy efficient, right?
Super efficient, but also super delicate, which brings us to the heart of the matter: pressure.
Ah, yes. Pressure. The silent danger lurking beneath the surface. The source really hammers home how crucial it is to understand pressure changes while diving.
And how easily those changes can turn dangerous if we're not careful.
Yeah. Think of it this way. You know when you shake a soda bottle, then open it?
Who hasn't done that, right?
You.
Pressure builds up and whoosh, you've got a sticky mess everywhere.
That's a pretty good analogy for what can happen to our lungs if we ascend too quickly, or worse, hold our breath. The source is very clear. Never, ever hold your breath while diving.
That's like scuba diving 101, right? But seriously, folks, it's not just an arbitrary rule. The science here explains why it's a life or death situation. Right, so remember those alveoli we talked about, those tiny balloons. As you ascend, the water pressure around you decreases, and the air inside your lungs expands.
Just like that soda bottle. But if you hold your breath,
You're essentially trapping that expanding air. Those tiny balloons, the alveoli, they overinflate. And just like a balloon, they can burst. That, my friend, is lung overexpansion.
and that doesn't sound good, does it? The document calls this a potentially fatal condition.
And for good reason. See, when those alveoli rupture, things can spiral pretty quickly. Air bubbles can leak into your bloodstream.
Wait, hold on. Air bubbles in the bloodstream? How does that even happen?
Well, think of your bloodstream like a highway system,
Yeah.
transporting vital oxygen and nutrients throughout your body. These air bubbles, they're like roadblocks. They can block blood flow to major organs, your heart, your brain.
Leading to
Heart attack, stroke, even death in some cases. Not to scare anyone, but it's crucial to understand the gravity of the situation.
absolutely. Knowledge is power, right? So let's say the worst happens. How would you even know if you or your dive buddy was experiencing lung overexpansion? What should we be looking out for?
The source lists several symptoms, and honestly, they're hard to miss. Sudden dizziness, confusion, difficulty breathing,
Yeah.
chest pain.
Okay, so if someone surfaces looking like they just saw a ghost.
Then you need to act fast. The source stresses the importance of immediate first aid.
Which means,
Oxygen, first and foremost. Get that diver breathing pure oxygen, ASAP. And this is critical. Get them to a hyperbaric chamber immediately.
now I've heard of hyperbaric chambers, but to be honest, I don't really know how they work. What's so special about them?
Basically, it's like a time machine for pressure. It recreates the high-pressure environment of the deep, allowing those dangerous air bubbles to shrink back down.
So it's like hitting the reset button. That's incredible. But of course, prevention is always better than cure. What are some key takeaways from the keep in mind section?
This section is pure gold. It boils down to a few simple but crucial rules. Ascend slowly and steadily, never ever hold your breath. And remember to breathe normally throughout your dive. Simple, right?
It sounds deceptively simple, but I guess that's the point. These rules are easy to follow, but the consequences of ignoring them.
Can be devastating, absolutely.
I-
And it makes you think. The source focuses on the physical aspects of lung overexpansion, but what about the mental game?
What do you mean?
Well, imagine you're down there, something unexpected happens. Maybe your equipment malfunctions, or you encounter strong currents.
Things can get stressful pretty quickly, even for experienced divers.
Exactly. And when stress takes over, even experienced divers can make mistakes. Panic can cloud your judgment, leading to potentially fatal decisions.
So it's not just about knowing the rules, it's about staying calm and collected under pressure. That's a whole other level of preparedness, isn't it? Something for everyone to consider before their next dive.